Former President Donald Trump was back in a New York City courtroom today. He testified in the defamation damages trial brought by writer E. Jean Carroll. The trial was delayed earlier this week because of a COVID scare. Trump has already been found liable in a previous sexual abuse and defamation trial, and that previous case found Trump sexually abused Carroll in a department store in the 1990s. These jurors will now decide how much Carroll should be awarded in this second case. CBS News correspondent Errol Barnett joins us now from outside of the courthouse. Errol, you have been there all day watching the testimony. What did Trump say in court?
Well, it was quite fascinating to watch the proceedings, Lana, both before the jury came in and once the jury was allowed to enter the courtroom and Trump was finally allowed to testify. Judge Kaplan really wanted to emphasize to both legal teams the parameters within which the former president could testify because of that previous civil trial here in New York where Mr. Trump was found liable of sexual abuse and defamation. In fact, as Judge Kaplan was explaining to Alina Habba and Ms. Carroll's legal team that it's already been established, this is a direct quote from the judge, it has already been established Trump sexually assaulted Ms. Carroll by putting his fingers in her vagina, quote. At that point, the former president groaned audibly where the rest of the courtroom could hear that. From then, his lawyer, Alina Habba, established the very limited questions she wanted to ask the president, and that back and forth lasted for about 25 minutes. They wanted to be able to ask about deposition video that was shown as evidence this morning, in which Mr. Trump said that his real net worth and value, his brand value, was beyond the billions that had been reported. And they also showed deposition video in which he said that E. Jean Carroll isn't his type, but he then mistook his ex-wife, or E. Jean Carroll, for his ex-wife Marla Maples in the black and white image that we've shown as evidence. And so, at one point, as Alina Habba is arguing to be able to have a certain wider parameter for questioning, Judge Kaplan said to her, quote, "I will decide what he has a right to do," referring to the former president. "That is my job, not yours." All of that cajoling happening before the jury came back into the room, sat, watched the president get sworn in, and then be asked only 1 to 2 questions. His lawyer asked him if he stands by what he said in the deposition video. He says he does. She also asked him if he intended or instructed anyone to harm Miss Carroll after she made public her sexual assault claim, and he said, no, I didn't. He then went on to say, "I just wanted to defend myself, my family, and the presidency." She said something I consider a false statement. Judge Kaplan then instructed everything the president said after no to be stricken from the record. So that last phrase the jury won't be able to consider as they determine damages. His lawyer asked her if this is his first trial that he's attended as it relates to E. Jean Carroll. He said yes. Then she ended her questioning. On cross-examination from the plaintiff's attorney, he was asked if this was his first trial that he attended. He said yes, and then there were no further questions. All of that, Lana, the president's testimony lasted fewer than 5 minutes. It was about 4 minutes that he was on the stand. The cajoling over what he couldn't say lasted much longer. Closing arguments will begin tomorrow, and then the jury will decide whether or not Ms. Carroll is deserving of $10 million, more or less, based on the evidence presented here in these past few weeks.
And Errol, you and I have had many conversations about the jury, about how the former president has conducted himself, how his legal team has even interacted with the judge, and how all that might have an effect on the jury. Since you were there in the courtroom watching them, how were they responding to the former president's testimony?
Well, I should explain that the main courtroom where the jury is seated has a certain capacity, and as is the case with high-profile federal trials like this one, there are overflow courtrooms where you can watch the proceedings from another courtroom, but the images we have are just of the legal counsel and the witness. So we can't actually see, or at least I couldn't today, the jury in real time. But what is valid as it relates to how this jury will decide a judgment they don't tend to side with the legal team that has constant disagreements over procedure with the judge. And certainly Mr. Trump today was another example. His outbursts in the courtroom and the judge admonishing him for such also doesn't help his case that he manages what he says, and it helps Carroll's case that in order to stop the former president from saying defamatory things, she needs a financial judgment. So I would say that based on the fireworks we've been discussing and I've reported from inside the courtroom, it may not work in the former president's favor. But of course, this jury of 9 individuals here from New York, 7 men and 2 women, will be the ultimate deciders of where this ends.
So, Errol, what should we expect next?
Closing arguments, Lana, tomorrow. I think there's some more procedural discussions happening in the courtroom behind me, but Judge Kaplan has made clear, and the legal teams have made clear, they've called forward all of their witnesses, they've brought forth all of the evidence, the Truth Social posts, the press conferences and things that the president has said in front of cameras, and now it's really up to these 9 individuals to decide if E. Jean Carroll is really should be awarded $10 million that her legal team has argued for, or the range of $7 to $12 million an expert testified it would take to repair her reputation. And so those closing arguments should happen tomorrow, and at that point, it's all in the jury's hands.
All right, Errol Barnett out there for us. Thank you, Errol.
You got it.